Welcome back to part 2 of Byrum, the 1966 VW Beetle. Work is continuing, and to follow will be some videos that I sent John, the new owner, of how things were looking and what needed to be replaced and what I was doing and how the progress was going, and sit back and enjoy. I found a lot of interesting stuff. Hey John, just want you to let you know, new parts are starting to roll in. Got an oil cap gasket, new strainer, valve cover gaskets, one tie rod, other tie rod, suspension buffers for the rear, headlight rings, oil change gasket kit, one brake hose has come in, a grease cap for the front wheel seals. These are wheel bearings, brake shoe adjusters, ball joint boots, and star wheels to adjust the front brakes. Yours are completely seized. New tailpipes, wheel cylinders for the front brakes, which yours are seized. 4 brand new Michelin XZX tires. Wednesday morning I will be going to Gene's Tire to get them mounted and balanced. Let's see where I can see where it says 165 SR15 and Michelin XZX, which is the original tires from what Volkswagen used to put on these things back in the day. So this is real exciting. The old tires I've got off, ready to go up to Gene's and get them changed out. Here is how she's sitting right now on 4 jack stands. I've got the rear valve covers off because I was adjusting the valves. Your valve cover gaskets were leaking from dry rot. I had put those on 6 years ago. Really full of sludge inside the valve covers and also all over the rocker arms and everything because of the non-detergent oil that was being used in it. And I remember talking to your dad about this the last time I changed the oil. And he said, well, I really don't change the oil on it because it leaked so much that I just kept filling it up. Well, unfortunately, that's not the thing to do. But we're going to get it straightened out. I'll promise you that. This was one of your suspension buffers. I'd say it's kind of toast. Got that all new. It's slowly coming around. You can see I've got boxes of parts everywhere. And sitting up here in the front end, I'm going to be working a little bit also on your wires. Wiring is kind of a nightmare under the hood here. All the cobbled up wires and everything. When your dad put that radio in the dash, he used a sponge, just a regular, I guess, washing sponge between the ashtray and the radio to keep it from moving around. I don't know, I may keep it in there. It works. But also, as you can see, your hood seal, which is just a nightmare. I've got a brand new one of those in. I've got front wheel hub off. The brake drum looks okay. The pads, the brake shoes actually look okay. It's just wheel cylinder seized. All the adjustment wheels and everything seized. They don't even move. Bad tie rod ends. Horrible ball joints. I mean, all the boots are gone. This is looking in there is to the other side. The fuel hose that comes from the tank down through the body to go to the back, that's all leaking. That's all going to be replaced too. But I have a lot to do, and I will be continuing with it. My dad leaves Friday for a trip up to Buffalo, so I will have a lot more time to be able to get on this and get it finished up. But it's coming along. It's coming along. It's solid. It just needed some maintenance and a little bit of loving. Quick video. Also, the shock absorbers came in. We have the front shocks here, rear shocks right here. They're made by Cofap, which is the company in Brazil that made them for the Volkswagen factory. It's going to ride really well. Valve covers are off. We're looking at lots of crud and dirt and old oil, and what a mess. Look at the suspension, not looking very good whatsoever. The shocks are ancient. The bushings are completely rotted out. There is rust up underneath here. What can I say? It is a 1966. It was daily driven. You know, he kept up on oil changes and maintenance and things, but when something is this old, things tend to crumble and fall apart. And tie rods were awful. Ball joints were just absolutely awful. I was nervous driving it from his house over to my shop, because I didn't expect this. But anyway, just looking at all these pictures here, and you can see the job that was ahead of me to try and restore this thing mechanically. John, the son of the original owner, Bill, was not too concerned about the aesthetics or to be absolutely perfect and gorgeous. He wanted a good, safe car that still had some patina. And that's what I was trying to do here. You can see the chunks of dirt and mud and grease and road grime that literally fell off or had to be knocked off with wire brushes and putty knives, and it was a daunting task. But compared to what I found on the inside of the car, once I pulled the back seat up and removed the seats and looked up under the floor, and what is this, brains under the back seat? What is all this stuff? I've never seen anything like this before in my life, and pretty soon you'll see the video that I sent to John. I mean, look at this battery with just tape on it, and yes, that's a red positive cable and a red negative cable, and I can't even describe the horrors of stuff. It took me screwdrivers and hammers and chisels to try and get all this stuff out, just to try and get down to what was underneath there and how many different kinds of wire were attached with electrical tape. But, you know, this is what happens when someone tries to maintain their car and really, doesn't really know what they're doing and just trying to get it to run. But the brains under the back seat, that's the kicker right there. And there's also horsehair from the what's this? Shingles? Yes, roofing shingles. They were under there too, and tar mixed in with foam and undescribable. Just undescribable.
Looking for other things. I believe what I'm going to do
is I'm going to cut some of this rotted stuff out and then kind of bang it down flat. Same thing here, make this all flat. And down in here, get rid of this stuff because there are other pans underneath it. And then underneath the car and in here, we're going to tack weld this. And then under the car, wherever these little things right here, these pop rivets are, tack that whole seam all the way up underneath to fix this side. Other side, it's going to have to be cut out, and I'm going to have to start looking online to find some parts to see what I'm going to get. Don't know yet if I should buy a whole pan, a whole half a pan that has the seat rails on it already, and then cut it like right up in here or up in here a little bit so that the new section will have the seat rails already installed all the way to the back. I think that would make it nice and secure. Hey John, I have to disconnect the battery, of course, so I can take the gas tank out and get up under the front to remove the tie rods, etc. I have no earthly idea what was done back here. I know your dad had some guy on Pine Street put in a half floor pan on the passenger side. We're looking at here is where the battery lives, and you can see there is foam insulation sprayed in here because of the holes that were in the floors, etc. And what this looks like brains is actually hard foam insulation. The heater cable on the passenger side in the back, here's one half of it. Here is, good golly, here's the other half of it, which is just broken off. There are wires here, which is probably, these I'm guessing are for the speakers in the back. There is a button, which your dad showed me, to help him start the vehicle because they felt that the connection from the ignition switch to the starter was weak, but it sat right back here. And if anyone, I realized that if anyone was in the car when the car was running and driving and just happened to press this button, it would engage the starter when the engine is running. That is so dangerous. Look at the wiring that was done. One junction, another junction. Red wires marked positive. Red wire marked negative. Okay, this is the relay that was installed called the hard start relay. But this is unreal. I can honestly say I've never seen anything like this before in my life. The driver's side, as you can see, I am looking straight down where that slice is. That's the ground down there, right by the back of your seat rails. This all, and I mean, it is filled. When I lift this up and look here, okay, this is tar that I think your dad or somebody put in. The floor pans are completely buckled. It is an absolute safety nightmare. I am going to have to dig into this much deeper because floor pans are a structural part of the car. The seats, as you can see, are welded. The frames are welded to the pan. And look how close we are here of the back of the seat rail where my finger is, and the hole through the floor, because this is all buckled up. This driver's seat flops all over the place. Someone plop in there heavily, they'll go right through the floor. I'm seeing roofing shingles and stuff that they just stuffed in here over the years just to kind of mask it and cover it up. This has to be fixed. And I'm gonna take the seats out and pull these rubber mats out because I've got to see what's underneath here. And the wiring, I am gonna be disconnecting all of this hard start stuff and put a real negative terminal cable on here that's black along with the positive one, which is red. I want to get rid of all this stuff that is extremely dangerous and try and get this back to the way it should be. I don't mean to scare you or anything, but I'm just sitting here scratching my head going, oh my gosh, what did someone try to do? I'll talk to you later after I dig through more of this. Driver's side is even more unbelievable because there are roofing shingles put down, tar, glue, foam, and holes everywhere to the outside. I'm gonna keep digging here. I do believe the only way that's gonna fix this is going to have the floor pans cut out and have the new ones welded in correctly. But you know, this happens in old Beetles. This is a pan, and you get battery acid from the battery, mixing with the moisture in the air and rain coming in at times, and you can see this is just, it's gone. Hey John, as you can see, I'm getting down to the actual floorboards, and what you're looking at there is holes directly to the ground. It is so weak. This is behind the driver's seat. Another hole there. This is where the floor is actually buckled. And this is where the seat comes all the way back to here when you have the seat back when you're driving. So this all is going to have to be replaced. Your dad had run speaker wires down the center console area here for the speakers in the back. This guy that your dad used actually pop riveted through some of the wires. They are so cracked up and brittle. I'm going to rewire that too. The driver's floor pan doesn't look that bad from in here. It's solid up where the pedals are and everything. And on the passenger side, it looks pretty decent too. That gravelly stuff you're seeing is actually tar that someone at one time poured in here and put some pads down on top. Very interesting. I've never seen that done before, but that's something that was homemade. I don't know if that your dad did that, or because there's more of it here. This looks like roofing shingles and tar. But I know it looks scary, but, and believe me, I'm looking scary at it, but at one time they did replace your brake lines. Looks like Troy did that, because you've got a new brake line that runs all the way up to the front where the pedals are, and it goes all the way to the back and to the outside, and that all looks good. The heater boxes here, they look good on both sides, except I've got to get all this foam and junk out of here. I'm just, I don't want to freak you out with videos, but it is very, very interesting when you're diving into an old car. And I do want to make it safe for you. And I'll catch you on the flip side. I'll film a little bit more in a little while. Hey John, quick video this morning. I drained the fuel tank. I was afraid that your fuel gauge was not working. It just needed adjusting. So that's fine. And I'm draining this so that I can change the hoses underneath. This is your fuel tank under the trunk. And I got into the wiring because of issues that your dad had starting it with the key. And that's when they had to install all of this nonsense under the back seat. So I cleaned up the fuse box here in the engine compartment, under the trunk. Turned out real well. I am going to rewire this fan that he had installed under your dash. You know, this is his air conditioner fan, because he used different kinds of wiring, all, you know, duct taped, literally duct tape, and electrical tape, and I want to do it safely because he had the wires running through the fuse box, which I don't like. I'm going to use the hole that he had drilled to put the speaker wires going to the back. And I'm going to redo this wiring too, because it's falling apart and it is so brittle from all the years. But as I was looking at the fuse box, I noticed that the outer two fuses were supposed to be 16 amp fuses. They weren't, they were 8 amps. So I went inside the car and looked up under the fuse box, and I know it's hard to see, but that fuse right there on the right, the one holder all the way on the right, is broken. Also, it had been painted. Well, I guess when they painted this car, whoever owned it before your dad, they literally painted this thing. That's why it's probably not, he was having difficulties trying to get it to start. Okay, and that's when they installed this push button thing, which I want to get rid of all this stuff because it's just not good. It's not safe. They do still make the fuse box. They're $30. I'm going to get one with a cover so that your knee can't accidentally hit it and the fuses pop out. And then this is your dad's solution. And I'm gonna have to stop this video right now because it won't let me send long ones, and I'll make another one. Okay, onward. This is your turn signal stock, which apparently had broken off years and years ago. The other half of it is sitting taped down here so that you can press this little button to turn your high beams on and off. They still make these turn signals stocks with that switch and everything. And all it involves is me taking the steering wheel off and replacing that switch and run the wiring through to the front, which I'm going to have to do anyway because I need to do the fuse box. I'm going to price that turn signal switch. You tell me if you want me to do it or not. This has got electrical tape on it. We got wires sticking out here everywhere. He has it taped to the steering column where it's snapped off. You tell me. Do you want a real turn signal on there, or do you want to keep this rigged device? The fan does work. Okay, it's just I don't like the wiring. It was wired through the fuse box, and I am going to wire it the correct way, unless you want me to remove the fan. I don't know. Your dad did this. I think it's cool. It works. You can adjust it and have it blow on you. This is what he called his air conditioning. And I just think it's cool. But you tell me, okay? This is part of the rat's nest of wires up under the back seat. We have speaker wires, which are completely dead. That go to the speaker panels behind here, which are dry rotted. I have old speakers up that I store and I've saved from different vehicles, and I'm going to find you a nice good used pair that are going to work great in there for you. and I'm going to run some new wires and hook it up to the radio. Because this is a rat's nest. This is awful. This all has to go away. Once I get the fuse box fixed, I don't think you're ever going to need this switch that was mounted under the seat here, which is extremely dangerous, because as you're driving the car, if someone just happens to reach down and push it in, it's going to turn the starter on while you're driving. And that's the relay they installed. I mean, this thing has been rigged. And I'd like to try and bring it back to the way it should be. You have two red cables here. A positive cable should be red. The negative cable should be braided and black. You've got two red ones with a piece of tape on it that says, one says positive and one says negative. That needs to be taken care of the right way too. Anyway, I'm progressing. I'm progressing along. The radio does work. It needs some speakers and some better wiring, which I'm going to do. And your dad had it kind of wired into the fuse box with duct tape and things, and it's not the way to do it. And I'm going to fix all that stuff to make it safe. I know you're never going to drive this thing in the rain, but all of the components look like they are here for your windshield washer. And the hose runs up there, but I just don't think it's hooked up to the nozzles, because I see a piece here that is just not doing anything. I'm going to dig into that too. I mean, this is your windshield washer nozzle here. It'd be cool if I could get it to work again for you. Because all this is just some rubber air hoses, and that's just real cheap stuff to try and fix. But I'm going to try and do my best to get that working again. I did charge up your battery. It's from the year 2018. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just all the wiring was kind of weak going from the ignition key back to the starter. And that's why they installed all this stuff. And once I can get the fuse box straightened out, we don't need any of this junk in here anymore. And your battery's going to be just fine. Got your exhaust tips on with new gaskets. They look awesome. She sounds real sweet when she's idling too. I thought that was cool. And they're just as shiny as the bumper is now. Well, that's it for this latest episode. Part 3 will be coming up soon. It's going to be almost time to get this thing towed over to get some floor pans welded in. Stay tuned. Thanks.